Hey, welcome back to the secret underground lair. So, apart from one final cut to be made on this lower log, the blade broke and I'm waiting for a replacement. We have this maple log ready to be dried. And how am I going to dry it? So I'm embarking on a little project to make a kiln. Now this is going to be a combination of solar kiln and dehydration kiln. So I'm going to use, and it's going to be a very small scale kiln, so it's going to be 8 feet long to accommodate logs that are going to be, the most I'm cutting are 6 feet. That's the maximum capacity I have on the table. So the kiln will be built to hold one log at a time about this big, because that's about as fast as I mill. And I'm going to be making it out of some cedar that I have had lying around. So I got a piece here, for example, and I got a couple pieces here. I'm going to cut into appropriate sized timbers to build a frame. And then what I'll use to construct the kiln itself will be some 1-inch rigid foam insulation and a glass or plexiglass lid that'll come down. I'll have an end on it for, I'm going to put a small dehydrator and a dehumidifier in there, a very small dehumidifier, and some fans, and it'll be solar powered. Solar and battery powered. That's another part of it that I'll show you a little later on. So, that is today's adventure. So, this is fundamentally the box that I want to make. I haven't shown the cross pieces that'll go in here, but fundamentally 2 rails across the bottom, and I'll have some pieces running across at 2 foot intervals, so there'll be 5 cross members there. A back fairly long, 32 inches, and a back and a front 16 inches, and then a sloping roof that'll accommodate some plexiglass panels. Oops, sorry, I'm off camera here. So sloping roof across the front. So what I have now are the two bottom rails. I'm going to make the bottom section here out of this. These are some pieces of leftover cedar that I had from actually it's leftover from a sawmill cut. So this isn't anything that I cut, but it's been air dried for a couple of years, so I'm comfortable that it's okay. I cut some 1x out of that material, so it's not really glamorous, but that's okay. This is just fundamentally a box that's going to have rigid foam insulation in it to kind of keep it sealed. So I'm going to cut these guys here into 18-inch pieces. I need 5 of them, and that's what will go in here, and I'm going to make a little saddle joint so they'll sit down in there. So let me cut these guys into 18-inch lengths. So these now represent the 5 members that go across the bottom of the kiln. That'll be carrying the weight of the stack. I wanted them 2 feet apart because one of the videos that I saw about building a kiln, you want your stickers about 2 feet apart. That was his recommendation. I thought, well, sure, go with that, and I'll just make the box so that the stickers would wind up being on top of these if that's how I chose to lay them in the box. So that's why I chose 2 feet. Okay, now I want to cut in some notches on the rails that we cut to accommodate these. So these are 3 inches wide, about 1 inch in thickness, slightly more than 1 inch in thickness. So I'll cut a notch to accommodate these guys. All right, I have marked every piece where I want this groove cut, you know, kind of like a dado, a very wide dado, but to accommodate this piece, so that'll sit down in there. I'm going to cut them with my circular saw rather than the table saw. And to set the depth, what I've done is I've just set the wood on there and brought the blade down so it's even with the bottom of that piece. So I know that I have the right depth. And to get the cut square, just going to use my set square and get that lined up. And then I can just make successive cuts going across the piece. So that's the plan. What could possibly go wrong? I'm going to knock this stuff out. Let's just see how that test piece fits. You can see how that just comes out so easily. Perfect. A little cleanup on the bottom will be good. In fact, I'm going to leave this piece in here while I cut the other slots, just in case, keep the clamps from slipping. So as I finish one, I'll slip a piece in just to keep it tight. I didn't make these perfs quite as thin as I did up here, so I can see they're a little bit more difficult to get out. So, a little lesson learned there. Next time, make them a little thinner. But that should be enough to accommodate a rough hole to that. Perfect. I'm going to move on to the next one. I'm just working off camera, so I'll come back when I have them all done. Okay, got our bits cut. What I'm going to do is drill a pilot hole to get through here. I'm putting the screw in at a bit of an angle. What I have is a 2-inch screw, and this is, in fact, almost exactly 2 inches thick. So I'm going to be angling the screw a little bit so I don't come poking out the bottom. And we're using our pocket hole screws, so I think I'm going to do one more thing, and that is I'm going to make a little pocket after I get this pilot hole drilled. I just realized that I put these pieces on backwards. I wanted to have this surface on the outside edge. No, I'm not happy. I'm going to take it apart and set it up the right way. It's wrong. And the reason I'm setting this up this way is because this is a relatively flat edge on this side, and if I have the front of the cabinet coming down, I would like it to be flush with this edge all the way along, as opposed to having this live edge. Very difficult to match to, so make it a little more square. Okay, there is our base. I'll come around so you can see that. That is the base of the kiln. So I'll work on putting some sides. I'm just going to make them out of, I think it's some 1 1/4 material that I'll use for the sides to come up here and here. Yeah, so that's next. So I'm looking to build the front wall now, which is going to be 18 inches tall, which means I have these two spans here that are 16 inches apart because they're 1 inch each. So I'm going to make 16-inch spans to go in here. I'll probably do 3 of those, maybe 4, but I'm just going to cut some more material so I have that available. What will go in here will be some rigid styrofoam board to provide the insulation that we want. Alrighty, I'll just get that piece over there on the far wall ready to cut. I can get two pieces out of this, and I'm going to get a couple more out of there. Actually, I forgot, I already have another piece already cut, so this is a little bit twisted, but I'm just going to cut him into 18-inch pieces, so he'll be fine, or 16-inch rather. So our two top and bottom rails, top and bottom rails. There's some material to cut into 18-inch pieces. Okay, I'm going to assemble that front wall. Nothing really magic about this, but I will be drilling some holes and putting through pocket screws again just to hold it all together. And because I'm using these pocket screws, I'm just going to give a little countersink to that hole. There's a couple reasons for using a pocket screw. And I say pocket screw, I'm just using, they're actually called particle board screws, but often called pocket screws. They just have a flat head with a wide shoulder. And I'm using these because, one, I'm very close to the end, and a flathead screw would split the wood. And secondly, the cedar being a very soft wood, a flathead screw would just bore way down into the wood. So this kind of keeps everything a little bit closer to the surface. So I just put in this screw down here at this end. I'll get this one lined up. Okay, there is a front wall that will be suitable for the rigid foams, rigid styrofoam that we're going to put in there. Now we'll work on the back wall. That's going to be 32 inches, 32 inches tall, and same length. So I got to find a piece of wood that's going to be suitable for that, and I believe I have the necessary piece in the back of the shop, so I'm going to go grab that. So I have this material here. This is just a 1x6. It's not even a 1x6. It's more like a 3/4 by 6. Of course, dried down, it's just about 5/8. But this will be okay for what I want. So I'm just going to rip this in half to give me two pieces. That'll give me the top and the bottom of the back. And then we'll cut down more of the cedar to give us the center partitions, the center partition and the two end partitions, studs, if you will, for that wall. Now I'm going to need 32 inch, I want this wall to be 32 inches high. So we've got 5 inches here. 32 is going to be 27. So I want to get 3 pieces 27 inches in length. 1, 2, short of that. And I think what I'll do instead is rip this piece down and get the pieces that I want out of here. Just going to make that square. Do it so by just I was intending to use 3 studs on this wall like I did for the front wall, but I cut an extra one just in case, this being a longer wall, maybe I want to have 4 studs in there. So the concept, these will go in here like so. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I will do 4. Okay, joinery in this one, figured out. Quite simple. Just making a pocket hole screw and screwing in this way into this piece. This The back wall here is not really a strength component. It is merely there to kind of keep the insulation in place. That's really, and the lid on the box. So that's really all I'm shooting for here. So I'll put in our next hole here. I'm just getting this edge flush with this piece. This will be the back. There's 2 studs. No, just carry on with the other guys. Come back when I have that done. Okay, with our base and front wall done, I'm now going to attach the front wall to the base. And that will just be screws holding it on. Of course, I am drilling pilot holes. Okay, that is a front wall. Now we'll put the back wall on. That's going to be a little trickier because I have that thin material to work with. It's a good thing this is made predominantly out of cedar. It would otherwise be incredibly heavy and hard to move around. Our back wall. And just for fun, I'm going to put a strap on from here to here just to kind of keep it from flopping around a little bit too much. It is a little awkward at the moment. It doesn't leave me feeling comfortable. I'm just getting it approximately straight up and down. There, at least it's held in place. Okay, I'm going to use the same kind of technique here. I'm going to use a pocket hole to go through this and into that. Okay, front and back put together. Now I need to make the pieces that go from here to here, so across the end. And we'll figure out what that measurement is and cut it. So there's our top piece put in place. Got an angle here, another angle down there. So we'll put it on the other side. I'm just putting these together, by the way, kind of by hand cutting these. Not using any tools. So just put it in place and then measure it, mark it with a pencil, and then cut it. So I'll take you through the process in more detail down at the other end. It's a little bit awkward down this end. So I have the advantage of having this angle cut from the other side, the other end. So that's going to go on like so, and then it comes up, and I need to mark here where I want to cut it off. Of course, the problem I have right now is this is This is not necessarily perpendicular. So I'm going to get the square over here, clamp the square on to get this perpendicular, make sure that this side's perpendicular, and then we can get the right angle. So I'll be back when I have that clamped up. So I've got two squares in here to get this side now perpendicular to the floor. This side is now perpendicular to the floor. Now I can make an accurate measurement on this piece up here on the top. So let me reposition so you can see this happening. Okay, so I'm getting that little corner flush there. And what I'll need to do is kind of come outside a little bit. And then I am simply using my pencil on the back side of the piece and making a mark. And there's the line there that I want to cut. So I'm just going to clamp that down, use a handsaw, and cut that off. Afraid to run out of, running low on battery, so I don't know how much that last clip you caught. Put a screw in here, put a screw down here, and we are now have our box fully assembled. So what will be required will be some insulation board, some foam board to go in there, and of course put on the lid. Now I have to order a little, I'm getting a little tiny dehumidifier that'll go in here. The dehumidifier will take out about a pint of water a day out of a room, or out of an area. So I don't have any problem, I'm quite sure, of drying too fast. And with the clear plexiglass on the top here, allowing the sun in, well, let's just see what it does. I'll also use my solar panels to power that. I have solar panels that charge a 24-volt battery. So the 24-volt battery will power that dehumidifier and will also power a couple fans just to kind of circulate the air within this cabinet. So, onward and upward. Have to think about a lid now, or the frame and hinging for the lid. So I'll work on that next. You've got a piece of raw material here that I am going to use for one of the rails for the top of the for the lid of the kiln, but I'm going to cut this into 2.5-inch strips. I got 5 inches that I can use here, so I'm going to cut it into 2.5-inch strips and then glue those two together to make a slightly thicker piece and a little bit more rigid. Then I'm going to do the same thing. I'll probably use some cedar that I've got that I've milled, that you saw me milling, and I'll make another one of those laminated pieces for the lid. So a little bit of cutting here and then some gluing, and I'll only be able to get one done today because I don't have enough clamps to laminate 2 pieces together, but I'll get one done. And yeah, get that on camera. a piece all glued up. Let that set overnight. Tomorrow we're doing a little bit of a road trip, so I won't have a video up for tomorrow. Among other things, we're going to pick up a, trying to get my hands on one of those wood cutting sawmills, a 2-tooth per inch sawmill blade. So we'll see if I can pick that up. I also have a line on a couple of 3-tooth blades for a little lower price than what I've been ordering off Amazon. It looks like I have cleaned out the Amazon supply at my local warehouse because I won't get a new blade from Amazon until Friday. Now that may be coupled with the long weekend, but usually those come the very next day. But having ordered 8 blades from them in relatively recently, I kind of think I've cleaned them up. So, yeah, waiting for blades. So tomorrow's a road trip, no video will be up. I'll try and get a video up on Wednesday though as we continue with this box. I'll be gluing up the other section for the lid. And I'll also be trying to pick up the foam that we need. I'm going to order the little dehumidifier and some plexiglass for the top, or that Luxan, I can't remember what they call it, but clear plastic for the top of the box. So, thanks very much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next video.